What is going on, YouTube? Zero Lead here. I'm back again with a new video. Episode 20 of the Disco Era U.S.S. Enterprise tutorial. Just want to thank you very much for tuning in to today's video. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button and helping me in supporting the channel. Definitely appreciate that. Today we've got a couple of things to work on. We're going to be continuing our work on our ship engines, and I made one minor change off camera. Well, I didn't make it off camera, recorded it, but I don't want to spend 10 minutes adding it on. So I'm going to tell you two slight things that I want you to do in the video before we go any further here. So on the front of our ship engines, where we have our inner circle here, I want you to add one more layer going inward. So right now you guys are here. You want to add one more. Bring it here. That makes sense. Instead of going to that middle one, bring one more going in the last one. Just give it one more layer. And then going backwards on this last cut going inwards, so this last part of the tube, I have it pretty long back here. Now, I'm not going to change this until about 30 minutes into the video, but essentially from here back, you're going to count to 17. Anything past that, you're going to cut it off. Alright? So, the other thing I want you to do too, you're not going to need it anymore also, get rid of your ruler line in the front. In the back here where you make that cut on the 17, add a divider line going, a ruler training line going straight across. So I've gone ahead and I've added my hull in off camera. You want to do that as well, and then you can come back to the video and pick up where I am as well. Now you can see here I have not decreased this length just yet. I'm going to, and not just at this point, I think a little bit further on. At this point I'm still trying to make it work with the length that I have it. It's just too darn long. And I'm just closing up the last couple of lines here. Now everything past this, so you've gone at this point and you've decreased this last part where it's only 17 long. We're going to start to build out our the end cap essentially of our ship engines in just a moment here after I finish getting rid of this last part that I'm deleting. So I think I'm just going to fast forward just a little bit more. Should be almost all the way caught up, maybe. Okay. Not going to close that in just yet. Now if you do have that part of your ship open, you can close that up now if you want to, but I'm going to close that up at a later point. So now we're going to work on our end cap of our engines. Now you can see I'm just going two back, and I'm just trying to come up with a pattern. Now to give you an idea of the pattern that I'm trying to accomplish here, essentially going to be repeating more or less the same thing like we did in the lower part of the hull of the ship. Not directly the same pattern, but pretty darn close, because that will give us the angle that we need to go upwards. Alright, so I'm just going on the left side because I'm trying to keep both sides even. Because at this point I'm not certain on what I'm doing. I'm going to want to keep for one, but I don't want to get too far on one side and not on the other. And again, if you haven't on this last line here, reduced it to where it's only 17 long. Make sure you cut that down now. I don't have mine cut down just yet, but this will save you some work later on, because I am going to make my engines a little bit shorter. But other than that, really not going to be making changes to it. Now, we will add a lot more detail to the ship engines to help bring them to life a little bit. So you can see I'm just repeating that process up and out over and over until I get all the way to this last line here. And I'm going 2 back. Because it's not lined up just yet, but more or less what I'm going to do is I'm going to shave this down just like we did on the lower hull, where I'll have these parts. I'm essentially going to have to build it out again and have it layer out until it blends in with this part of the hull, just like we did on the other part of the ship. So if you got pretty good at that, this part should be really easy for you. So at this point, it's just repeating the same process over and over again. Not to go off topic just a little bit, but I'm kind of excited. I've got a new build that's going to be coming out for you guys in the next couple of days. I'm not sure if it's going to be coming out this week or next week. Depends on whenever I do the commentary for it, but I built a Borg cube from Star Trek Picard. So that's going to be really cool. It's not going to be a super long tutorial. It may only be like 2 videos, maybe 3 at max. Not going to be super long. I just want to release something to break it up a little bit from the Enterprise and give other people something to watch if maybe they're not building this with us at the same time. And I'm going to be doing a lot of that. And I want to keep that going moving forward, where I have a main build that I'm doing, like in this case the Enterprise, and then I want to try to throw in a couple of little builds here and there where I can. So if you have anything that you want to see me build, make sure to sound off in the comments below. If you have any questions regarding this ship build, and if I'm not specific enough during this tutorial, sound off in the comments section. I'm usually pretty responsive. If I don't directly answer your questions in the comments section, chances are I'm getting ready to answer it in a video. So I definitely appreciate all the feedback that I get regarding the ships as well. If you see something you don't like, or you see something that you do like, hey, let me know that too. Definitely appreciate that. Anyway, moving back, shifting gears right back into what we're doing here, you can see I'm just continuing on the same pattern that we started with. Nothing too difficult here, and I'm just trying to work my way almost all the way up. And it may not look like much now, but when once I finish, it's going to look pretty good. As you can see, it more or less it has that perfect scoop that we're going to need. I just have to blend it in with the rest of the hull on the nacelle. Alright, so continuing on, I'm going to try to, essentially what I'm trying to do is almost go all the way up to the top, to the roof of our nacelles. I don't want to build anything above them, because I want to try to make this look as seamless as possible. So I know I have a couple more rows to do. This is actually what ultimately caused me to shorten my engines, because after I added this curve, I realized, especially at this point, that the engines were just way too long. But I loved how this came out, so that was literally the only major change that I made to it. Alright, we are rocking and rolling here. Now you can see I'm not doing this, I'm not jumping over to the left side and catching up with myself just yet. And the reason for that is just because I've done this so many times before. I've used this pattern before on my ships, and it's not very hard for me to remember. But if you're in a position where you don't think that you're going to be able to remember it, definitely take advantage of that. If you do something on the left, do it on the right, just to keep yourself consistent. But that's something I've talked about in the past, that as far as finding patterns that you can use, I'll work with you in the ship. This is what I was talking about, like just like that pattern. I found that I've been able to use variations of that in almost every single ship that I've done. And then other patterns too, like what I've done with my neck on the back here. But no, it's definitely coming out pretty good. I like where we're going here. The only thing my ship doesn't have, and I might end up doing it at some point. I just haven't figured out how I want to do. Is I don't have the dots here on the very back to convey the actual ports. It's just gray, a darker gray back here. And that is going to be something that I'm going to be doing too, is that I'm going to be changing this whole thing to a darker gray. So if that's something that you want to do before you start the other side too, you can definitely do that. And as far as how much of a dark gray back you're going to have to go, you're not going to go anything past this line here. So, well, once it stops blending in, then that is where your gray line will start, and the rest of this will be a darker color. So anyway, I'm doing my training line going straight across to the other side, just to make sure that when I build this on the left, that it ends up being the same exact length. And not a super long video today. You can see I cut off a little bit on the beginning because I didn't want to invest 10 minutes into just doing one or two things that I didn't necessarily need to show you. But I've only got about 20 minutes or so left in this build. Right now I'm just kind of zooming out to get an idea of what I'm doing is what I want. So far looking pretty good, other than the fact that my ship engines are still just a little too long. And hey, this is the other thing too. If you feel that you made your ship engines this length and you think that they're good this length, I mean, you could leave them this length. It doesn't look, I guess it doesn't look bad. I just think that they look a little too long. But anyway, we're going to get to rocking on the left side of our engines, just literally repeating the same process that we just did, but on the left, same pattern. I'm just kind of looking over there to see what I did, making sure what I'm doing over here is right. You can see where I made my mistake there, and I'm just going to fix that real quick. Okay. I'm basically just looking at the sides right here to make sure that this side over here matches. Because even though I'm going to shave this in, I still want it to match completely, so I'm going to end up having to put a block right here. And that's just one of the things that you can do in your build, just to keep yourself more accurate. If both sides are the same and you make a change, the thought behind it, is that you're less likely to make more mistakes, Alright, so I'm just moving along with this pattern here. Alright, gonna get a couple more on the left. Got a few more rows before I get all the way up to the top. That was from a previous video, and they got me again to click on it, even though I couldn't click on it. Yeah, we are moving quite along here. Before you know it, we're going to be back over on the saucer section, um, getting some work done over there. Not in this video, probably in the next couple of videos, but the majority of the outside of our ship has been completed at this point. There's only just a couple of loose ends that we have to do, really. I mean, there's still quite a bit of work that we have to do on top of the saucer, but as far as the ship's structure as a whole, it's been mostly completed. See, I'm just moving quite along, right along here, trying to get this banged out as fast as possible, but at the same time taking my time enough to that I don't make any mistakes. That's the most important thing. You know, this isn't a race or anything. At the same time, and especially myself, when I'm building these things, I get very excited. Especially, you know, I can only imagine for you guys, probably like, especially at this point, 20 videos in, you're like, I just want to finish this thing already. But at the same time, it's best just to take your time a little bit, because taking that extra time and care is what's going to separate your builds from everybody else. I made a couple of mistakes there. Let's fill those in. All right, looking good. Let's get these extra rows done. Well, only got a couple more to do. And at least the bottom of this is going to be done. And if you want to know the color that you're going to be using for this part of the nacelles, it's just the darker gray. It's not like the super dark one where it's like almost black, but you want to use the darker one to the white, the actual gray one. And the reason why I'm telling you that now instead of showing you is because I don't change it myself until later on. I'm just trying to save you a little bit of time. Okay. And I made my way all the way up to the top. Now we have to add our casing, and we got to blend in all of this. And the best way to do that is to start your way from the top and work your way down. And I know that it really looks like I know what I'm doing here, but I've done these so many times. After you've done these enough, you start to stop like on a line. Like you can see where I'm stopping. I didn't actually go as far enough on the right side as what I did on the left, but regardless, I stopped on a cut. And that's really what you want, because when we take this line off the back and this gets all filled in and everything, it'll look really good. So at this point, I'm just kind of checking it out to see how exactly I want to go about it. Gotta fix that right there. Okay. So we're just gonna pick up right where I left off. Just fill in from the top and work my way down the sides. And if you have a couple of straight lines here, like this part right here is too high, like that's okay, because like when you zoom out and look at it, like that doesn't look bad with like the straight clean lines. Because at the end of the day, that's, to me, that feels more natural for a starship than what you would do like the way people layer stuff on here, and like it looks like it's like got layers going along the side, but it's not in a pattern like it is under this side. I'm sure a lot of you, if you watch videos on YouTube of ship builds or any builds in general, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'm not trying to knock their builds in any way. It's just something that I wanted to stay away from, especially for the starships, because I just feel like they should have straighter lines, if anything. All right, cool. Got a lot of the sides filled in. Gotta do the top, and then we have to blend in the bottom, and then we have to do the left. There we go. Well, let's see. Let's close this off, and then we'll go over to the left. Now you can see this time I'm started from the sides and working my way up. If you feel that you can do that, hey, go for it. But if you're just a creature of habit and you don't want to make a mistake, you know, do it the same way that you did on the right side. Because you know, there's really no wrong way in building one of these. That's the beauty of it. Even my design, you can build your ship a totally different way. It could even come out 10 times better than what I could ever do. You know, just at the end of the day, it comes down to personal preference. But hopefully, if you're watching this tutorial, then you know you feel that you maybe need help. You're not sure of how to achieve this, and I hope that this tutorial series is helping you to do that. Because again, this was my whole reason for wanting to do this series when I first started building ships on here. Every single tutorial I could find was just some dude talking about a ship that was already done and didn't show me anything at all as far as how to build it. And I've still to this day have yet to see it. So that's my main mandate with at least this series and most of the ship builds on here. Now I am going to start doing tutorials like on other builds and stuff. And I'm going to keep it to building stuff because it seems like that's what you guys like. So that's what I'm going to stick to. I'm probably going to start adding in a couple more games. I used to do some ARC videos in the past. I'm going to start doing more of those. I might even start doing Atlas, but I'm going to keep it to building stuff, and I'm going to keep doing stuff for Minecraft also. So anyway, I want to move right back into talking about what I'm doing right here. So you can see that I'm starting to blend in my lower half. And literally all I'm doing is I'm continuing the pattern that we've started out. So as long as it matches up with your pattern, you know, it's kind of hard to make a mistake at this point. So that's really what your guideline is, making sure that it matches up with the rest of the pattern that you have going on here. I'm going to hop over to the right side, and I'm going to shave off a couple more rows and add in a couple more. Let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Put another one here, and then get rid of what's underneath it, and then get rid of these two. And look at that. Just like that, it's blended in. Now, you know, that could be easily, just this part alone is something that could just very well mess your whole ship build up, but just coming up with a simple pattern like that really saves our skin there. And especially when you make that the darker gray, it's going to look fantastic because it's exactly the shape that it needs to be. Let's get rid of those two, and we're looking good. I mean, that's, dare I say, near perfect. You can't really get much better than that. Really can't. All right, let's get rid of these ruler lines. I don't need them. That was probably one of the most satisfying parts of the build, when you complete a section of your ship and you start removing your ruler lines. And then you zoom out and you look at your ship without them. Looks even better. Other than the total length of the ship nacelles, we're looking real good. And I'm going to be changing that length in a future video, so this way they're not super long. Now you can see that there's a little bit of a gap on my engines. We're going to fix that, or not my engines, on my pylons. We're going to fix that, and literally just going to continue on our pattern. To make that blend in. Nope. There we go. Got a couple of holes underneath here. Gotta close all this up. Thought I got this before, but I guess I didn't. What are we looking at here? We've got about 3 minutes left in this build. Then after this, I believe that's gonna wrap this one up. Alright. We were looking really good here. We're looking real good. We can get rid of these ruler lines here. We don't need them. Oh, one out. Gotta fix that. There we go. Now that's right. I'm gonna have to close in this as well. But I mean that's pretty close to the shape of the engines. I don't think we can do much better than that. And I know that I've had people in the past asking me, especially when I did the Enterprise A, that seemed to be the most controversial one because I altered the engines, and I had a few people that were really asking me to do a tutorial on tubular ship engines. So if you're still around the YouTube channel, hey, this part of the tutorial was for you, and I hope that you enjoyed it. I tried to make it as simple as I could as far as explaining it. I do want to add in another row here to my pylons. I'm going to have to add in another one because, again, just literally continuing on with our pattern. If you continue on with your pattern, you cannot make a mistake. And that's literally what I'm looking at when I zoom out on my ship. I look at what I just added, I look at other sections of my ship, I make sure that my patterns are right and both sides of the ship match. And once you get in the habit of doing that, it's going to help you to spot out mistakes in your ship build also. Alright, looking good there. Let's go up one. See, just like that, blended it in, no problem. Alright. Well, I think that's going to wrap up episode 20. I just want to thank you guys again for tuning into today's video. Really appreciate the love that I'm getting on the channel and on this tutorial series. If you haven't, please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button in helping me and supporting the channel. I definitely appreciate it. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow for episode 21. This tutorial series is going to continue. We've still got a lot to do. We haven't even hit the main detailing of our ship. We haven't done the upper hull of our saucer section, let alone the interior. And if you need a tutorial on the interior, hey, I've got a platter of that coming up too. I'm going to be showing you guys how to do your shuttle bay, your engineering bay, your sick bay, your teleporter room, your bridge, all that stuff. And on top of that, also I've got a Borg tutorial, a Borg cube that I made in Minecraft. That's going to be coming up either later on this week or even next week. You can always check back on my YouTube channel Monday through Saturday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. New videos drop. The only day that videos will not drop is Sundays. Anyway, just want to thank you very much again for tuning in, and I will catch you guys in the next video.